Dungeons and Dragons on 4K Blu-ray. This fancy steelbook. So this is my review. I didn't quite know what to expect. I really wanted to see it. I love everyone in it, and it looked awesome. I've played exactly one campaign of Dungeons and Dragons. When I say campaign, I mean going back for several weeks in a row until you finish like one big storyline, and then I wasn't invited back. I think I was having a little too much fun, and maybe didn't take the quest as seriously as the DM would have liked. But I had a blast, and one thing we would do every time before we would play D&D is we would actually play the game Munchkin. If you've never played that game, it is amazing, and you should try it. But back to the 4K. So it was filmed digitally. I believe it was filmed on 4.5K, and then the digital intermediate, which is basically how they cut the movie together, like the resolution that they put it together, is 4K. And so it's digital, so there's no film grain, and it looks really good. And so if you don't like film grain, and if you like things to look 4K crispy, as Shane would say, then this is definitely a really good looking 4K. It's a good movie to show off your properly calibrated system, and the sound was really exciting and all over the place. So I watched this with my wife, and she had never played D&D before, but she has read a lot of the books that are in D&D realm. Okay, I've been corrected. She's read 3 of the books, which to me is a lot of books. I'm an English major. She's read the Homeland trilogy, if you've heard of those. But my point is that neither of us were super hardcore D&D, and this movie was awesome. It was fun and funny and beautiful, surprisingly beautiful, like all the way through, like just like really good eye candy movie. And we were laughing and enjoying it the whole way through. I'm not gonna lie, the whole time I was just waiting for something stupid or political or preachy or just over the top to take me out of the movie, and it just ended up being fun the whole time. And actually in the special features talking about it, they talk about how they just wanted to make a fun, entertaining movie for a couple hours, and that's exactly what it is, and I highly recommend this movie. But I really like this part where they're like assembling their team, and look at Hugh Grant's face. I'm not gonna lie, this is probably my favorite Hugh Grant performance. I like the movie Sense and Sensibility, but as far as like his performance goes, I think this is my favorite. Every second he's on screen was a good time. Check this out.
Pushed us to aim even higher.
Right here.
Before long, we became.
Anyway, just their team assemblage. It's just doing a quick montage to intro, but they're talking about all the different members of their team, and it just fits right into the D&D world where you're a team of people and you all have a specialty. So I love that it just starts out just feeling like the game. And this movie was actually surprisingly heartwarming, like actually really touching. I was very surprised. I was not expecting that at all. All right, this has to be one of the most awesome escape scenes of all time, and probably one of the funniest escape scenes of all time. I've been waiting for this bird to show up.
Wait for.
Jonathan!
Pardon my belatedness.
I can't tell you how happy
Step
I am to
away.
see you.
Hold it now.
She's throwing potatoes.
She's throwing potatoes!
Oh, Jonathan!
This dinosaur guy's like, we approved your pardon, after they go through this elaborate escape. Oh, anyway, I love that. It's so amazing. These guys have a really awesome chemistry, and the bartender mistakes them for husband and wife, and she's like, ew, that? With those lips?
Let's go. Thanks, pal. What's wrong with my lips?
They're too big for your face.
What? A lot of people like my lips.
Oh, man. Anyway, that's just a good example. And then right after that, there's a deleted scene where she goes on to talk about his eyebrows, which is kind of a large Chris Pine feature. So it's interesting that they just go on roasting him. This is one of my favorite shots in the whole movie. My goodness, look at that. Looks so good. This, seriously, like almost every shot is just beautiful to look at in this thing. I can relate to this part with Hugh Grant spotting some gray in what's his name? Edwin? Edwin's beard here. I love this part.
Oh, do I spy a little bit of grey? I do, I like it. It's scoundrelly but professorial. You look like a...
He grabs his face.
Like a well-read fisherman with secrets. Lord God.
All right, my wife spotted this shot first, but there is an incredible split diopter shot coming up in here. Also, when this creepy witch is telling this guy to kill them. Also, she looks oddly like my 2-year-old. Okay, look at this thing. Look at that. It looks so good. So you have like kind of the blurry spot in the middle, but then they're both in focus. That is a good looking split diopter shot. I was very impressed to see it. There's a lot of very cool cinematography in this movie. This fight scene that they kind of show the start of in the trailer is pretty awesome. So this guy's about to cut their heads off, and she just keeps asking him about his axe, like specific details. And he's getting pretty
Is this what
baffled.
you're concerned with?
If you wouldn't mind.
Boiled linseed oil. Once a month.
Should be once a week. That's why you're getting rust on the bed. Okay, chop it off.
Chop it off. Let's do it.
Anyway, it's cool. She's just asking him all about this thing, so he's getting all baffled. But then this fight scene, my wife just pointed out there's no music on it, where normally the music gets pretty spicy during the fights in this movie. But this one, there's no music, and everyone's wearing armor, and the sound as she's just like bashing all these guys is just like bing, bong, bong, bong. She's like kicking them and throwing them all over the place. It was actually incredibly satisfying to listen to all the banging sounds of their armor. It's like a little kid playing with pots and pans. All right, here's a sample of the awesome helmet banging sound effects. See some sparks fly when she hit that guy. Cool. I love that. One thing that people were freaking out about before the movie came out was that it was just yet another movie demasculating men, showing Chris Pine's character. And I actually did not feel that way at all. I just felt that was his character. He was like the musical planning guy. He wasn't like the brute fighter guy, like she is. But it makes sense because her tribe, that's what they are. They're a bunch of fighters. And so I think that was an unnecessary worry that a lot of people were having before it came out. I love this line about magic. They're always asking this guy if he can just magic it, make it work with magic. And he gets frustrated.
Pity. Wait, if the vault has more than cane and steel, we're not getting in. It's impenetrable.
Can't you just open it with magic?
Okay, here we go.
She says in her smoker voice.
How everyone thinks that you can solve any problem with magic. There are limits. This isn't some bedtime story. This is the real world.
But it is a bedtime story, and it's not the real world. Anyway, I love that line. I love that line for a few reasons. One, because it's a good line. But two, and it reminded me of this during the movie. I hadn't actually thought about it, but in college, I wrote a story that was a bunch of people like these like fantastical D&D world type people, like a dwarf, an elf, etc., all sitting around a table playing an RPG, but their characters were all people in our world doing like typical like human job things. Like I think one of them was like a postal worker or something, and they were just getting super into it, but the stuff they were doing was really mundane. And I'm really proud of that story. I don't know if it might be online somewhere. Anyway, this line reminded me of that story that I wrote that I enjoyed. So I guess if I wrote a story that I enjoyed, then that's what counts. All right, so this movie is about to continue the long tradition of PG-13 movies with a decapitation with no blood in it. I get it. He has a flaming sword, so maybe it could cauterize it like a lightsaber. Like, I get it. But ultimately, I think bloodless decapitations in movies just look really stupid. Like the movie Hidalgo. You remember the horse racing movie with Viggo Mortensen? Yeah, you probably don't, but it has a bloodless decapitation in it, and I just think it looks so stupid if they're gonna do that. I think I think just leave it out of the movie unless you can do it right. Like I love in Lord of the Rings, like in the Mines of Moria, when they're like chopping off goblin heads and there's like black blood like shooting out. I think that's awesome. And this, I guess it makes sense because they have the sword was like flaming, so again, it could be kind of like a lightsaber. But usually, I think decapitations are stupid in PG-13 movies because they just look dumb, like in Hidalgo. I guess unless it's Lord of the Rings, because then because they can show the goblin blood spraying out, and I guess that's not as bad as human blood. So I was watching the special features about the set design, and my goodness, they did so much work to do so many practical sets. They planted like real vegetables in this garden. Like it looks so good. Just look at this as they ride off. Also, Chris Pine playing that little thing and their fun little song is great. But look at how beautiful this shot is. Look at that. So awesome. Such a good looking movie. Look at that. It's kind of Lord of the Rings-esque on a lot of these traveling shots, honestly. This is definitely one of my favorite parts where they're talking to corpses. And it just adds to the fun of this movie. And another movie that this kind of, it feels like in the same vein of, is Stardust, where it's like fantasy, comedy, romance. Except for this isn't so much romance, but it's like fantasy, comedy. And it gets some of its humor in the macabre. A little bit of dark humor here, talking to these dead bodies.
The Battle of the Evercourse. Yes. Great. I mean, not for you. Sorry for your loss. 4 more questions, right? Yes. No.
Oh, it's so good. They waste all their questions on this guy. So they have to just keep waking up more bodies to get their questions answered. And it's amazing. This scene could have just gone on forever. Actually, not quite, because there was an extended scene in the special features, and that did go on for too long. But this part is really fun. It actually reminded me of kind of a Dostoevsky story of a bunch of dead people are talking to each other. But anyway, yeah, this was fun. And if you like Stardust, I think you would like this movie. And if you like this movie and you haven't seen Stardust, then you should see Stardust. Look at this awesome shot, my goodness. Anyway, so this is like a flashback while they're talking to the corpses that they dug up. And at this point in the movie, so I know I mentioned earlier where they're gathering their team, how it kind of feels like D&D, gathering your team. But at this point in the movie, when they have their little side quest to go talk to the dead people to get answers to keep moving on, it absolutely felt like I was playing Dungeons & Dragons watching this movie. Just because it felt like this is a little side quest, and it felt like the DM was just being silly with all these dead bodies, and it was awesome. I think this movie really achieved making you feel like you're playing a game with a bunch of friends. So this paladin guy was such a joy in the movie. Everything he said, every line he said was pure gold.
Expression.
I see. I do not traffic in colloquialisms.
You're not a lot of fun, are you?
If it's what...
So he is a lot of fun. He might not be a lot of fun to her, but every second this guy's on screen is absolutely incredible, and every word out of his mouth was amazing. This paladin guy. Boop. And whenever I played Diablo 1 and 2, I was always a paladin, or specifically Diablo 2. I was always the paladin, so it was nice to see this guy and watch him doing some hardcore melee later on. All right. First of all, this giant fat dragon is hilarious when it just turns on its side and is just rolling after them. But did anyone else think that this part looks exactly like in the opening intro of the original DuckTales cartoon? Look at this thing. Like, the danger's out to find you. Stranger out to find you. Whatever. Anyway, that was like... right there, it was just so like the DuckTales thing. I got the lyrics wrong, but shut up. Anyway, it just looked like the DuckTales intro, like frame by frame. So, I don't know if that was intentional, but it straight up looked like it. All right, so this might have been a little bit of a stretch. Right there. All right, that's fair. That's a little bit of a stretch, but It just reminded me of that part of the DuckTales theme song, right? All right, this reverse heist type scene where they're trying to get this thing inside this wagon was definitely one of the coolest parts in the whole movie. They've got this, basically a painting with a portal on the front of it stuck to the bottom of this wagon, and one of the coolest shots in the whole movie, and it's in the trailer, so look at this thing. So cool. All right, so overall, Dungeons & Dragons on 4K Blu-ray was absolutely delightful. It was fun, it was funny, it had cool music, it had great acting, it had awesome sets, had cool action, had cool monsters. The movie wasn't too long. It had cool, did I say sets already? It was a fun movie. I really liked it, and my wife really liked it also. So, yeah, and the 4K looks and sounds incredible. This might be one of the top 2023 as far as like looking discs, like very good looking discs. So anyway, let me know if you've seen it. Let me know if you've ever played the game, and let me know what you think. So thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.